Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. To those who always do and those who will come in my future, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. I send you all love today, tomorrow, and continuously. I have made, at least I know I made a post on my social media page about this. I'm not certain if I have made an actual video about this. If I did, it's been a very, very long time. So perhaps if you have time, go back through my YouTube channel and check it out. It's about my wrestling with God. And I'm going to tell you the exact moment that I allowed God to win. It was the beginning of Him changing me, transforming me. This was back in October of 2015. And that is the date, okay? That's the time that things took place. My awareness of my wrestling with God didn't take place until many years later. And it was about 1 year and 8 months ago, which is towards the beginning of my awakening process. In the beginning of my awakening process, I not only spoke to God and expressed that I had failed at my life and at my current marriage. And probably at that time, I think we were married about 16 years, 16 and a half years. We'll be going on 18 this year. And I needed His help. I said, you know, I have tried everything that I have known, that my own mind and heart has known, but I have never tried your way. And at that time, I was also an online health coach, for those of you who remember me helping you. And that's when I also was, I came back to social media, and that was in 2017. So 2 years after October of 2015, my exact wrestling with God. And so because of my online, being an online health coach, I had to have this set routine of, or develop a schedule, a routine of healing myself, which they use tons of personal development. I read a few of the books that they requested that we read, but it just wasn't really doing what I really needed, what I felt I needed. You know, believing in yourself, or being more mindful, things like that. Yeah, that stuff is important. But I knew there was a deep-seated reason why I was the way I was. And there was a deep-seated reason why I had this great yearning for something more. And eventually I understood that it was God. I was always yearning for God's love, which I have always had. It's just I never brought it into who I am. So I began eventually, as I was increasing my faith, completing these, I think it's called honoponopono things. It's a Hawaiian term, where you basically complete, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, and I love you letters. Really what the honoponopono is just reciting, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you, over and over again, to everything in your past and your current, to people, situations, and all that. But I took it a step further and actually wrote out some letters. And I began with the people in my circle, my life, my family, my son, and my husband, and my mom especially, and myself. That day that I completed those, a huge gift was given to me. And that was my memory. My mind was actually given back to me. I was diagnosed with dementia about 15 years prior to this moment. But I kept those letters. My plan was to just write them and tuck them into my journal and keep them from myself. But the faith that I was now instilling in my life and the love that I was becoming was telling me to hand these letters over. These letters had things in it that I thought took place because of how I was feeling, or really did take place. So to give letters to people under the assumption that they did something to you, or a situation took place when it really wasn't that, because we all have a different perception about a situation, could have ended really, really bad. My husband and I were about to have our 16th year anniversary or something like that, and I said I'm going to give it to him then. And we went on vacation, and I gave it to him. This discussion went okay, but then turned bad that night after we had tons of drinks. And we're more relaxed. Our emotions were easily accessible. And we, talked it out, but my husband said something that didn't even pertain to what we were talking about. How he didn't understand the wrestling with God verse in the Bible. And I was like, well, I can't explain that because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know the Bible as well as I should. I still don't. I know God, though. And so I came home from that vacation and I began to read the chapter, and a light bulb went off. And I ran back outside, and I knew exactly why my husband had to say that to when my wrestling with God took place. So now it goes back to October of 2015. That's when my son left home. I fought and I was fighting God, being determined to win myself. The only way that God could win and get my attention to begin a transformation within me was to take the only thing in my life that had great meaning, my son. He removed him from my everyday life, and it broke me. It broke me. I became very depressed. For those of you who don't know, I was a single mom prior to meeting my husband for about 7 years. My son was premature. I was 20 years old when I had him. I was so young, didn't know, didn't have. And he came out very sick. So him and I were always together. Even though when he got older and was beginning to develop a relationship with his real father, that he would go on, weekends. And then a few weeks throughout the summer, it was still him and I. I was at his bedside all the time, especially in his younger years. And he was my life. He was my everything. God knew that. I put my son above all things. His health, his life was so important. I knew I had to be his rock, to be everything. And that's, of course, what a parent is supposed to do. You sacrifice for your children. But I may have overdone it. I'm not going to lie. I was so terrified of losing him because of what I had seen with his health that I think I overdid it. And then I think I kept him closer too because of the lack of love that I felt everywhere else in this world. When we don't have love, we tend to hold on tighter to the love that we know we have. And I had this tight rein around him. So God knew that the only thing that was going to get my attention, because he has been trying for a very long time to get my attention, was my son. It worked. I was depressed for, it seemed like a year, but as I looked back, it was probably only a few weeks before something began to click. I would look out into his room and I would somehow look from the room to my light switch on the wall. The room, the light switch, the room, and the light switch. And our minds work so beautifully without us knowing whether good or bad, that it picked up on that light switch as it's time to flip the switch, which means to change your negative mindset into something positive. Change what you are feeling right now and use it for something good in your life. And that's when I began my health journey, my healing journey. I bought the fascia blaster until I can finally begin to exercise. I had to heal my physical pain. I was immobile for so long. I used a walker for so long. I had gained so much weight. It hurt to move on many days. It hurt to have the clothes on my skin and take a shower. It hurt so bad. But eventually I did. I lost, 40 pounds that summer, mostly by fascia blasting. And then I could increase my activity. And then 2 years later, I became an online health coach with Beachbody. I say online health coach like it was real. It was real for me. It was real for me. And I had gained knowledge with the 2 years previously that I successfully lost over 160 pounds by myself. I knew I could be this coach, and I wanted to pursue that type of career for the rest of my life. It's not where it's taken me now. We will have a situation that arises in our life where it's really going to shake us. It's really going to knock us to our knees. It's really going to break us. That will be your wrestling with God. I really hope that you allow Him to win. Life will get easier when you let Him win. You know, when we are in so much pain, we can't see how the trailing of life connects together. But when we begin healing, surrendering, it connects the dots. You know, my husband spoke those words during that argument on purpose, because God was speaking through him when I wasn't really hearing God, and connected me back to a few years previously when I know I wasn't even focusing on God back then. There are so many connections that exist throughout our lifetime that is saying, I am here. God is saying, I am here. I wish it didn't take me so long to get here. Because it's really beautiful where I'm at. And I could have had this all of my life. But I know why it had to take me so long. And it's not about me. It's about I was needed to wake up at a different time for humanity. Not for my own selfish reasons. The world needs each and every one of us to be our truest self at a specific time frame when others' darkness doles out the light. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.